Hello, and welcome to Keeper's Corner Podcast, where we're breaking down anything and everything Utica City FC related. With your hosts, as always, Matthew Sterling, Michelle Brooks, and Brandon Brooks. Let's go. Welcome to another edition of the Keeper's Corner Podcast. I'm Matt, Brandon here with me.
Hello.
Got a couple games to talk about from this past weekend. We have another injury that could affect the team. And I think we're going to do a little bit of reframing our goals for the rest of the season.
Yeah, some good, some bad, some sad. A little mixed bag of everything.
Let's start at the beginning, which was Utica on the road Saturday at Harrisburg. We had a good start to this game. Kind of let them back in it towards the end. But what we saw was a 7-5 victory for Utica to bring us 3-0 on the season against Harrisburg.
And we scored first again.
Yes, it was our third straight game scoring first.
Yep.
It was also our third straight game with a hat trick. This one's coming courtesy of Nate Bordeaux. And
even if he didn't get the goal himself, he also did get at least one assist.
Yes, he did assist. We saw Ronaldinho get his first career goal, which, another interesting fact, our three rookies, Quentin Swift, which I'm not counting the one game he played in Baltimore, that's not enough to count as a rookie year.
Yeah.
So you got Q, you got Ronnie, and then Isak Somau. All three of our rookies scored their first career goal at Harrisburg.
Not all during this game, however.
Yeah, yes. Two of them in the game back in December, and then Ronnie today, or Saturday.
We also saw the return of number 23, Logan Roberts.
Yes, and that was a welcome sight to see on defense.
Absolutely.
Logan, of course, contributed as well with a goal. And I don't know. Brandon, do you have a play that changed the game?
I have one that changed for me, but it didn't really change the flow of the game at all, just given the fact that it was a pretty... it wasn't even necessarily a one-sided affair, but, it kind of was, because for every one goal that they would score, we scored two. Mm. If you literally look at the scoring summary, it's literally 2-1, 2-1, 2, and then Harrisburg gets 2, we get 1, they get 1. Mm-hmm. It's literally, we were outscoring them 2-1, which was, again, a very welcome sight. Now, granted, they did start to come back. I think if I had to pick a play that necessarily, I'll say, sealed the deal, was the Nate open netter. I wanted that safety net. I was really hoping we could get that safety net. And so for me, I think that was the big one.
Okay. Mine that sealed the deal for us was an unfortunate play for Harrisburg. You saw that save that Willie B had to make where he landed hard on his right shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
And then he struggled through it for a couple of minutes before coming out of the game. That really... yes, we'd taken it to him pretty well at that point. But at that point, it felt like Pat Healy was just conceding. And you know what? We're down. We're probably not coming back. I'd rather get my goalkeeper out and try to get him as much rest before our game again tomorrow, which I'll be honest, I don't know. He did not play.
Nope.
And if it's more serious, get him out before it gets even worse.
Yes. I did watch the Florida game, and at least parts of it. I can't say I watched the whole thing. And Macaulay did play that entire game. Willie B never came into net.
And Harrisburg had a chance in that game, so
they did. They also, they played a good game that night as well.
Mm-hmm.
No, they did not let Florida run away with it. It wasn't like the Chihuahua Stars game.
Oh, God. The first one was just... Oy.
Oof.
All right, Brandon, do you have a stat that tells the story for this one?
Do I have a stat that tells the story? I mean, not really. There isn't really I don't feel like there's. I mean, maybe you have one, but
I got one. 5. Utica scored 7 goals coming from 5 different players. They got a lot of people involved.
Okay. Yep, that is true.
You aren't just relying on us. Yes. Nate had 4 points, 3 goals, an assist. He's been that great presence we've had from him all year.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the steadiest player on the team. I would say would be him and then Raymond.
Yep.
But with, Vitali contributed, Logan contributed. There's 2 from defenders.
Yeah, that was definitely. It was very spread out.
Tim and Nate connected twice.
Tim scored with his foot. He scored with his foot. So proud.
I'd have to go back and double check this, but I believe. All right, so Timmy has 7 points in his career, coming on 2 goals and 4 assists this year and 1 goal last year or 2 years ago. All 3 of his goals have been assisted by Nate. And I believe 2 of his 4 assists, he's assisted Nate.
So they're a good pair that works together.
Yeah, they got a good connection.
It's in the headband, all right? There's a chip on underneath there. Just interfaces directly with Nate's brain. They're constantly on the same page.
You know what? It might be 3, because they did connect again the next day. Yeah, he might be responsible for 5 of Timmy's 7 points. So, let's see those guys on the turf a bit more. They got some good camaraderie and some good play off of each other.
And actually, well, we'll get to that one, but he had 2 assists on the game on Sunday.
Yes. Yeah. 4-point weekend for Tim Goldman. Like I said, Utica kind of started to let Harrisburg back in it there in the 4th quarter. They got it to 6-4, which after being up 6-2, we really haven't had a chance to talk about it much this year. But that old thing where Utica likes to take the foot off the gas.
Yes, it did feel like that happened in our good old 3rd quarter. But we still only held them to 1 goal.
4th
Actually, yeah, we delayed it a little bit longer.
Yes. Now let's delay it until it's not in the game at all.
In my opinion, so one of the things that I felt happened on the Wednesday game that I did talk about the last time we got together was the fact that halfway through the 4th quarter, it just looked like the guys were gassed. As I mentioned, I had been down in the beer garden and I could see right there, like I was watching these guys breathing very heavy. And I think that, that was probably still a factor in the 4th quarter here too. But we had a lead to cushion ourselves. And, then of course, like I said, Nate put the last nail in the coffin there.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, without that substantial, I'll say substantial lead. I mean, it was only 4 goals was the most we were up on them at all. Mm-hmm. We still, I feel like that's really what helped to kind of carry us through completing that game actually winning it and not even having to go to overtime, getting those 3 points.
Well, it was nice to get out of there with a win. Just our fourth on the season. But
With
next
3
day,
of them coming against Harrisburg.
the next day, we see Utica travel on down to Baltimore for another match at CQ Arena. Still one more of those to go this year.
Yep.
And we see more of what we saw the first game. Utica's offense can't find room to operate on the smaller field.
Well, first off, I mean, the very first thing, let's just bring it up, is the return of Vanzella. I mean, he played the night before, I believe. But, we also had Vanzella to deal with in goal, which, welcome back. It's great to see you in goal, but it's sucks as a when we have to play against you. But it is good to see that he's no longer injured and, he's finally recovered. But yes, it definitely sucked to see him in goal for us playing against them. But if you actually look at the stats, he didn't do that all that much better than Andrew. I felt Andrew was really on his game in this game. I mean, they both had I think Andrew had a 62 and Vanzella had a 68. I tried to not look at the stats. I think that's pretty close.
Coughlin's at 62 and a half. He had 10 saves on 16 shot attempts. Yeah,
Vanzella had a lot higher.
Vanzella had 14 out of 17 for an 824 save rate. So more of what we expect from Vanzella at this point.
But he was definitely very careful to cover his head. I noticed that.
Yes. Do you have a play that changed the game?
So where is it? I did, and here it is. I don't have one specific one. I have 3. The last 3 goals within 45 seconds of each other. 3 goals in 45 seconds, 2 against an empty net. If the first goal against the full team was not bad enough, then the additional 2 just hammered the point home that this game's done.
Yeah, it went from a 5-3 game to an 8-3 game in, what'd you say, 45 seconds?
It was 12:44.
41 if you want to get, 41 if you want to get specific.
I was giving us a few seconds of leeway here. But yeah, that one, that set of goals was just like, what do we do now? We can't, there's not much we can do at that point.
No. Yeah, I don't really have a play that changed the game because for most of the game, Baltimore controlled things. They looked to be the better team. We controlled the ball at times, but we could not effectively probe their defense. So even when they were on defense, they still controlled the tempo.
Yeah. We did kind of slip into some old habits. I saw them start to really give into the pressure and push back to, we saw them playing with the ball at half field, even on our side of the field. But they did find ways to get it up. Usually it was chipping it up, but they did get it up there. Which was good to see, that we were not just giving it up at the midway point. Ball control was kind of an issue. We did see a lot of giveaways. We also saw some bad passes. We saw some passes that maybe should have had more on them than what they did. And
we saw some shots that should have been passes to more open guys. We saw.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of. I don't know, tunnel vision.
Yeah, just tunnel vision, or maybe like I don't know. I don't want to say desperation, but
it did at times feel like they were pressing offensively.
Yes, without any real. Goal.
Down 2 or 3 goals, you're still in a game in this league. And even then, though, it felt like they were pressing in the third quarter. Just because they had not scored at all in the second quarter, but Baltimore didn't score at all in the second quarter, so you take that as a win.
I was gonna say we kept them scoreless in the second. We basically went 1-1 with them in the third, and then the fourth quarter is when things got out of hand.
Mm-hmm. Your stat that tells the story.
0 blue cards.
Yeah, for normally a rivalry game that gets a little chippy, this was very cleanly played, and that might just be because of the directions the two teams are headed.
I mean, there were plenty of fouls, but they were common fouls. We never had
nothing ever looked egregious or.
Yeah. We did have one yellow card, and that was just dissent on Vanzella, but there was no power plays. Is essentially what I'm saying. Nobody went on the advantage during the game at all. And I'm not counting the sixth attacker because we didn't go on an advantage there. We ended up losing the ball twice.
I'd have to go double check all the score lines, but I am fairly certain the only time we have scored with sixth attacker was when we had a 6-4 advantage against St. Louis to send it to overtime. And the rest of the time, we give up 1 to 2 goals.
Yes.
So I'm okay if Hall decides that we're just not going to use 6 attacker anymore because kind of like our power play, we are somehow worse when we have a man advantage.
Mm-hmm. I guess one thing I do want to mention about the broadcast from that game. So I have voiced this before that certain broadcasts can be very biased. I actually did not have any issue with Baltimore's broadcasting in this game. Like, I actually enjoyed their broadcasting team very much. So I don't know. I don't know. It was a good broadcast, and I mean, it's a lot better than the night before where they basically lost audio for I don't know how long.
Well, they also lost the feed itself. And
yeah, that too. Which actually Harrisburg lost the feed itself completely too.
Yeah,
for a little bit.
Harrisburg lost the feed. Harrisburg, there were a lot of times the ball would get played into the corner and they would not catch up with it. And
yeah.
Or man, just you gotta find somewhere else to put that camera so you don't have heads walking in front of it. Or clear out the seats around it so that you don't have heads walking in front of it.
I think there was one other thing too that I was going to mention. So I'm just going to mention this because it was brought up on the other program that we both follow very much, In the Box.
Mm-hmm.
Go check them out on Thursdays at 8:30.
Usually 8:30 Eastern. Yeah. Shows are live on YouTube with the Fanatic and I don't know what Adam calls himself.
Adam. We'll just call him Adam.
Well, he's big into the broadcast, so let's call him AV Adam.
Ooh. Anyway, one thing that was brought up there, and I actually brought up a point when they were talking about it, was the chat on the YouTube videos or the
so
live
happy
stream.
that was gone.
The fact that it was disabled. I mean, that was something I said on In the Box when a comment that I made is if you can't moderate it, don't have it. And guess what? They didn't have it, which good choice.
Yes, because
it was a very toxic environment. And it was not helping anybody. It was not constructive. It was just people attacking each other. So I wholeheartedly agreed with that decision.
Well, if we're to talk about the broadcast, there was one thing that I kind of both enjoyed and was annoyed by. So we know that teams and representatives aren't allowed to criticize officiating anymore without getting a fine. And these guys were like walking right up to the line about it. It was like, I can tell you want to call that a bad call because it didn't go Baltimore's way. but you're trying to not to.
On that subject, since
Just
you
get the
brought it
fine.
up,
Just get the fine.
just get the fine. I'm assuming they must have been sitting. They must have had fans nearby where they were announcing.
Yeah. So if I remember correctly, they're on the walkway in between the two. Like you have the lower bowl and then the upper bowl, and they're up on the walkway basically where the camera is looking from.
All I can tell you is somebody said something not so nice about Bo, and I caught it. And
it was a red card. It should have been a red card.
It should have been a red card to that fan, right? Red card.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean fans can voice whatever they want. Whatever.
Yep. Yeah, you can't.
Within the MASL's regulations, which I mean, we have never seen anybody get kicked out of a game. So
nope.
But yeah, that was the only thing I noticed. I'm like, boy, I really hope that was a fan and not just somebody saying something they shouldn't have.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm pretty sure it was.
I thought Schindler was going to kill a guy during that game.
Oh man, it was getting scrappy. Yeah,
Howard
it was.
Jr. pulled him down, and then came.
I'm actually really surprised that no cards came out of that.
Yeah, that felt like there should have at least been a unsportsmanlike conduct for the taunting.
Mm-hmm.
But kudos to the teammates that came out and broke it up and kept things from getting out of hand.
Yeah, from both sides. Like it wasn't just. I mean, it was like Baltimore players holding back Schindler, and like I'm pretty sure. If I went back, I'm pretty sure it was. But it was just like they were like, no, don't relax, guys, relax.
This guy wanted to take on the entire Harrisburg team by himself, and you're.
He didn't want to. He said he could handle it. Get it right.
That sounds like he wants to. Like, well, if I have to, no one else.
I got to do it. I mean, listen, Schindler's a linebacker. We know this.
I had the game on my phone at work because it was a slow afternoon, and my boss doesn't care if there's not a lot going on, as long as the job gets done. I go, oh, you're trying to pick a fight with him? And my coworker looks over, is like, who's picking a fight? And I'm like, that little guy in red against that guy in blue. And they're like, that is a big man.
Yeah. He's I would not want to mess with him in a dark alley if he didn't like me.
Mm-hmm. But really, officiating wise, there's not a lot to talk about this week from our games.
No.
Which was refreshing because the senior referee was the guy in charge of the home opener against Florida.
Mm-hmm.
When everybody in the world flopped and got away with it.
Yeah.
And we didn't have any of those issues. And it was nice to see an improvement on the officiating side.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Injury wise, though, we saw Logan come back. Then he didn't play Sunday. I'm hoping it was a planned day off after his first game in months.
Which would make sense. You don't want to push it.
Right. We saw Juan Alava take that spot on the roster. Hopefully it wasn't a re-aggravation that cost us Logan for the rest of the season.
Right.
But Lucio suffered a non-contact injury. That didn't look good.
He just went down, and like you said, non-contact. Nobody was even really near him, and he went down. Like, not good.
Look, I'll repeat what I told you before we started recording. I'm not going to make a guess at what it was because I guessed on Ferdinand, I guessed on Thompson, I guessed on Moy, and all three of those were correct, and they were all season ending. But that gives you an idea of how severe I suspect this one might be.
Sorry, I just watched it again. You could just see the pain just shoot up his leg.
Oh yeah, I hate when they go back and watch. They make the replays of terrible injuries. Like, no, I don't need to see this guy's knee bend sideways at a 90-degree angle. Or
It's
the infamous Kevin Ware broken leg during a national broadcast. Nope, I don't need to see you replay this as his leg comes out of his skin because the bone snapped that aggressively.
No, definitely no.
Nope. If it looks bad, let's just stop showing the replays.
Yeah, let's please no. No, I'm kind of squeamish anyway. So I mean, yeah, it's not blood, but still, you know somebody's hurting.
Well, we'll say this: the injury bug has definitely bit Utica this year.
Oh yeah. It's I don't suspect we're going to see Lucio for the rest of the season.
No. Based on who we've seen and who might be able to pop in, Ben, Nate, Vitali, maybe Pereira can pop in as needed, as he's done. We know he's more of a coach player than a player coach.
Yep.
Segura, Hoxie. Maybe we see San Luis pop in again if needed. I kind of put him and De Silva and Everton all there in that if we need to fill a roster spot.
Yeah, I was gonna say we definitely have not seen this St. Louis in a while.
No, he and De Silva played in last time we saw him was the San Diego Ontario games.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the only time we've seen them.
Yeah. Moy's done. Bo's still around. Somau's still learning. We do have the three from the Cleveland Crunch we could call up if needed. Peiwu, Mutemwa, and Blackwood. I mean, if we need another defender, I think Blackwood could play his way onto this roster given the chance.
Yep.
Ronnie, Q, Timmy, Logan. Let's see what that injury is or isn't. Joey's still around. We just saw Juana Lava this past weekend.
Yep. Yeah, we did.
Schindler's still playing. Good for him.
Yeah, we know that.
But Lucio and Thompson Lucio's, I wouldn't count on it. That looked ugly. At this point, I'm not counting on any of the Visa guys to come through.
No, I don't. I very seriously doubt we're going to see Toby or Zuniga this year. I was really hoping that the Chihuahua game was going to be in Chihuahua because then we could have potentially seen one of those guys.
Yeah,
but
yeah, that's at home.
Yeah, I know. But I was
Slav. We haven't seen in a month and a half, so I wouldn't count on him showing up at all.
No,
who knows if that's an injury or whatever. We saw Rafa Godoy fill in a little bit early in the season, but we haven't seen him since December. We wonder if he's just training with the team, trying to get better.
I mean, potentially, but given the fact that we're just kind of playing really whoever we have at this point, I would think that he could come out and just play a game. It doesn't necessarily need to just practice, but maybe he's just not to that level yet. I don't know.
Roster freeze is coming up too. I think it's a week or two away.
Hey, I just noticed they got an updated picture for Hoxie. Sorry.
Yes. So yeah, the transfer deadline is 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern on St. Patrick's Day. After that date, if a guy's played for a team at all this year, you cannot trade him. You cannot transfer the contract.
So we could see some moving around the league before then.
Right. If they haven't registered with a Massel team, so between the 17th and the same time of day on Thursday, March 30th, it looks like you'll be able to sign anyone that hasn't played for a team yet this year. Mm-hmm. So, if you want to bring up someone from M2 or M3, that should be allowed by my interpretation of the rule. The rosters this year, because these were only added like 2 weeks ago, they were not on the rules page when you looked earlier in the season. I know, I looked there enough. But the rosters used to be 26. They're up to 30 on the active roster. That's why we haven't seen guys cut, like we talked about.
Right.
And they do have a game cap. So if we trade for someone in the next 2 weeks, if we have more games left, so if they've played 20 games at that point and we still have 6 games to go, they can only play in 4 of them. You can't have a player play more than 24 games in a season.
That makes sense. Yes. Oh, I mean, essentially, if I got you. I understand.
Which I guess the roster freezes are due to some years ago, a owner that was a player and coach on his own team and the GM. Look, this is from In the Box. They were around back then. But
so now you're calling those guys old.
No, I'm just saying they're more familiar with the history of the league than we are.
Yeah.
That team wasn't going to make the playoffs, and then right before playoff weekend, this guy traded himself to a team that was going to the playoffs.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So they're like, no, we're not going to do that anymore.
No, you're not. You're not allowed to do that.
Which is weird. It's so. I'm assuming the 30-player roster is because of potential COVID issues.
Yeah, it's been a weird. It's been a weird return to the sport, if you will, for this season.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I know they had a season, but not everyone participated.
Less than half the teams participated, so.
Exactly.
Well, I think that's everything recap-wise to talk about. So we can turn our attention to this coming week, where Utica gets to play Harrisburg at home. 2 o'clock
any
game.
Home game is fun.
We have 5 straight weekends with home games.
Yeah, buddy.
There are 8 games left, and 6 of them are home games, I think.
I literally just had that up too, and then
we played
it. I was looking at something else.
Harrisburg twice at home, San Diego, Tacoma, Chihuahua, and I think we get Florida at home. So yeah,
Harrisburg, San Diego, Florida, Tacoma, Chihuahua. Yeah. Lots of home games, fun.
Yes.
Maybe not outcome-wise for some of them, but listen, just having the guys home, being able to cheer them on. Utica's loud. Utica's always loud.
Mm-hmm. And it's why I think we need to readjust our views for the season. I know we were kind of Ron Newman Cup or bust coming into the year. Might have been a little overzealous there.
Well, so coming into this season, I mean,
we gotta get you a regular green screen, because I keep seeing Thanos' head pop through the wall that you have in the background. Just It's I know you're inevitable, but not right now.
It's Nemesis. Yeah, I mean, again, you look at the beginning of the season. You look at the tools that we should have had. We had a stacked roster.
And then immediately off the bat, we lose Diegues and Toby.
And then everything happened.
Mm-hmm.
So once it hits the fan, you can't take it back. So unfortunately, it was just a bad series of events that hit the team right out of the gate.
Yeah.
And then just the hits kept coming.
Between the injuries and the COVID and the visa issues, it's not our year.
Nope. And that's okay. There's nothing, it's okay to have a bad year. One bad season does not define the team.
No. At this point, we are 8 points out of the last wild card spot. St. Louis has fallen out. Tacoma is only 2 points ahead of us. And the only one behind us is Harrisburg. Now, is it possible? Because, any given day of the week, that's how sports go. You never know who's going to win. Like NCAA basketball just saw 6 of the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 ranked team. And I believe number 8 all lose on the same day.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the first time that had ever happened in history. So it's not impossible for Utica to go on some kind of crazy run and in 8 games get 24 points.
So here's the only thing that I have with that. I'm going to be a pessimist here.
Oh no, I'm just saying it's not impossible, but
oh no. Hear me out.
I want to temper it after that.
Let me just hear me out. So even if we got that playoff spot,
mm-hmm.
What's going to happen? What are we really going to be able to do with that? If we end up going against a Florida in the first round or a Baltimore. I mean, Baltimore, we have we can beat them. We know we can beat them.
I mean, most likely if we sneak in, it'll be as like the 8 seed. So we'd end up playing in San Diego and then do it the split series between us and San Diego.
Yeah, which it's probably not going to go so well. So, I mean, personally, I would much rather avoid that pain and just let these newer guys have a good and have a I'll say a productive remainder of the season. But again, that would be even making it to the playoffs would be a best case scenario. But again, we're probably not getting past the first round. So realistic scenario, I don't see us making it. I don't see us making the playoffs. I would love for them to prove me wrong and take it to the house and somehow pull a miracle off. But we just don't have the tools. And, if you look at it and you really look at what we have available, we don't have the tools with us, especially when we, keep having the issues that we have with injuries and everything else. So definitely, unfortunately, have to temper our hopes for the rest of the season. Always going to be hoping positively, but
yeah, it's why when we discussed, the sell or buy a couple weeks back, I was on the sell side.
Yeah,
and at this point, I still am, because you can do those loans where we get the rights back at the end of the season. And maybe get some guys out of like other M2, send. I don't know who needs what. Like, I mean, if Florida needed anyone, they would probably talk to Harrisburg about Willie B for the rest of the season if he's healthy, because they lost Hugo to visa issues. Kansas City is a better team than we saw this past weekend when they have Leo Gibson. And congrats, coach, on your 3rd child. Very good reason on why to miss the games.
I'd say that's a pretty good reason. Yeah.
Yes. Ben contributed to a title winner last year. Nate could contribute. Schindler can contribute.
Only thing that I have with that is that I think kind of the glaring issue with that is as soon as you start doing that and basically just gutting your team for the rest of the season, your attendance is gone. Nobody's going to want to come to the games because you've written off the season. And fans will recognize it. I would say at least people who pay attention will notice that and will could potentially stop showing up.
Are you sure? Because we have people in the comments on Facebook for the Utica City soccer team. They're like, I'm not renewing my ticket because I didn't get a free tote bag because they're only for the beer garden and you're not giving them to all the season ticket holders. People paid extra for it. That's why they get something. You bought a season ticket. It was technically a discounted ticket because it's less than if you bought that seat 12 times.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the comments is kind of like the Wild West. It's just a
well, we have someone that can deal with the Wild West if you saw the wallpaper.
That's why I brought it up. Listen, okay, don't judge me just because I didn't realize it was Oxy.
That mustache is a dead giveaway, man.
But when you are opening it on a phone screen,
it fills the whole screen.
No, I didn't say I applied it as my wallpaper, but I definitely looked at it on my screen, and it was I had no idea. All right, I was just like, why is he putting a picture of a cowboy? What? I don't understand. And then it dawned on me, and I just got a message from Michelle saying that she's judging me. So. I guess I'm the only person that didn't know it was Oxy. Listen, I'm still getting used to him being on the team, okay?
But I'm not saying we gut the team, but I'm also understanding that if that's the route that Coach and Tommy and Ash decide to take, you could have these teams like Florida who is chasing that championship for any sense of legitimacy. Because they kind of get ragged on around the league for bad turf, bad broadcasts, low attendance, and putting out one of the best teams the past 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, chasing that title makes it all worth it. I don't know if they have an M2 affiliate like San Diego or Ontario where you make a trade with them and you're like, well, we'll loan you this guy so you can chase a title, but we want the rights to these two guys for the future.
Yep.
You see it a lot more in baseball, but that might just be me trying to drum up some baseball style stuff since that has started to have some issues thanks to Rome's Rob Manfred. And that's for a different podcast that we don't do.
Yep.
But yeah, so realistically looking at the schedule, your floor is probably 2 wins. I think you can take 2 out of 3 from Harrisburg.
Yep.
I think 5 is an optimistic ceiling, which would mean a clean sweep of Harrisburg on the season, and you go on the road and you find something in you so that you don't lose all 6 games to your rival Baltimore.
Yeah.
You're not going to take it. You go out there and you show up as the team that we have seen over the past couple years. And then that Tacoma game at home.
Yeah, I could definitely see potential in that one. Yep.
I think that's realistically what you can expect the rest of the year.
Yeah, compared to the rest of them. I agree.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if we upset San Diego at home, Great. You won't hear me complain.
Holy cow, that would be...
Yeah.
Wow.
If we get revenge against Florida at home.
Also, wow.
But
you could even say it would be Tim Wow.
Like we had, I think, the worst loss on the year with that 15-5 game. And then the Wave, who are just as injured as us at this point in the season, lost by 11 to the Sockers. And Saturday saw Chihuahua beat the Stars by 12. So, thank you guys for making us not the worst loss of the year.
Yeah, it kind of dulled the pain a little bit.
But Chihuahua put up 31 goals in 2 games against the Stars.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't like our odds there any more than I like them against San Diego or against Florida.
Yeah, it's pretty steep odds.
Yeah, that's kind of... But since we said we could beat Harrisburg, and we got them this Sunday, what do you got for predictions?
So, couple of factors.
Yes.
Number one is we're going to be rested. We didn't have a game 3 days before.
Yeah, it's not a 3 games in 5 days stretch.
Which also means that, towards the end of the Harrisburg game, maybe letting off the gas a little bit due to the fact that they had to play the next night. Again. But, we'd also have to look at, yet again, another roster change because potentially, I'm going to say most likely, no Lucio, especially not this week.
Not yet. Non-contacts, yeah. I just immediately rule them out for the next week to 2 weeks.
Yeah. So with that change, definitely Utica. I still hold that Utica is going to win. Just going by the track record, especially they're going to be at home. That's, you got the whole crowd thing to take into account.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say 7-4.
Okay.
Almost the same as last game, just less goals by Harrisburg because we don't let them do anything with the 6th attacker.
Right. So I think two key things here in this game. And it's not the lineup thing, but Willie B's health. Will he play? Will he not? Yeah, there's puns there. Go for it. Get it. Willie B, will he play? Will he not? I'm punny.
He's a punny kind of guy.
We might know more about that Thursday. I believe he's supposed to be picking against Hannah in the box, going head to head this week.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is Utica's goalkeeper. We saw Wilkin in goal on Saturday, so that Coughlin wasn't playing 3 games in 5 days. I would expect Coughlin to play at home in a 1-game weekend.
Yeah. I mean, I could see either one of them playing, if I'm honest. But I think, actually, has Andrew played against Harrisburg this season? I think I feel like it's always been Wilkin.
I think it's Wilkin.
We've played them 3 times. Yeah, it's been all Wilkin.
Yeah.
Because the first 2 were COVID issues, and this last one was scheduling issues.
Well, I could see Coughlin being in goal. Yeah, I mean, he is the primary choice. Not discounting Wilkin at all, because I mean,
no.
At least in those games He's been solid. But I think Andrew gets a chance.
Mhm.
Gets a swing at him. Not literally.
No. But I expect Andrew to start. And really, I'm going to say if it's Andrew and Willie B, I like I rolled that 5-3, and I think we are closer to that this week than last week. Willie B going out and letting off the gas kind of let things get a little out of hand towards the end.
Yeah, it didn't help things. But you also, like you said, you didn't want to take the chance.
Right. If Willie B's out, I think it's more of a 7-3 game.
Okay.
7-4, open things up a little bit more scoring on our end.
Yep.
But, it'll put 3 more points on the standings for us, hopefully.
Still got to win, but yes. Yeah. Just because we've beaten somebody in the past, we know how, or the past, we know how that goes.
Yeah.
They can still come out swinging.
Any given day.
Especially because it's March. What happened last time? It was in March.
It's a month of madness.
It's also green.
Yeah,
St. Patty's.
I believe the save of the day week is around then, so they've already revealed the Comets jerseys for save of the day week, and I keep waiting for them to reveal Utica's. And we haven't seen anything.
I want to see them.
They were like the neon blue ones a couple years back.
Yep.
They looked really nice. But
please don't bring the green ones back. I don't want to see them. Bad green ones. Bad. Don't show me that tattoo. Since nobody knew what the heck you were doing, had to make sure that I mentioned that you were showing the tattoo.
Yeah, I got the Celtic Knot Utica shield tattoo.
Yep.
From that faded game.
Particular game in question.
I got Irish roots, and it's my favorite local team.
Well, what other? Well, of course it would be. It better be.
Yeah. But that is what it is, and we'll see if Utica gets if City gets anything special for the save of the day week.
Oh, so anyway.
Yeah. Apologies.
So unprofessional. How dare you?
That's the thing I love about podcasts. They're super professional.
Right.
You've never had a bevy or anything while we were recording.
Never. Nope. Never.
We definitely haven't
glass or.
Definitely haven't had parts that I've had to completely cut out because we go off the rails.
We are straight to the point all the time. I don't know what you're talking about. We have never gone on tangents. Why would you ever think that?
At least we don't go on sine and cosines.
I'm leaving.
Math jokes is where you draw the line. Oh, yes. All right. Well, if Brandon's gone, I guess I'm going to have to sign off here for both of us. Yep. He's. Bye-bye. Oh, no. Here he comes. Here he comes.
Sorry,
that was a quick gone. I was about to sign off since you were gone. And
you can't do that without me.
I could.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, game 2:00 Sunday. Be there, be loud. Let's get a win. Let's get some points. Let's see what this team can do with more moving pieces.
Yeah. Let's get out there and see what can watch these newer guys continue to develop kind of right before our eyes. And I want to see more out of those younger guys. We've got some good speedsters. I want to see continued improvement. I know they got it.
I mean, we'll compare him to Timmy because he's another homegrown one that we get to see. Like where they are now, they've had more playing time, they've had more responsibility. They're ahead of where Tim was at the end of his first year. I think we can both agree to that.
Yep. Absolutely.
Still got things to clean up. Excited for the future with them. I do see them developing really well together.
Yeah, I definitely, they've been good additions. If they were more seasoned, more groomed, we would have a heck of a team on our hands. We still have a heck of a team, but I just don't see, realistically, I just don't see us as like being, playoff contenders this year.
No, unfortunately.
But give it time. Give it. Next year with the same people, it'll be a totally different story.
Well, I mean, next year there'll be a different story because who knows how many teams will be in the league and how big playoffs will be.
Yeah, I know. But if things were exactly the way they were right now, rosters did not change, everything was exactly the way it is right now, next season, with these guys having a full season of experience or an additional season of experience, would change things, I think, immensely.
Look, if you go back to November and there were no injuries and no visa issues, everything is different.
Yeah, that's the fairy tale land of ain't gonna happen.
Shh, don't crush my dreams. It's already died.
How can I crush them if they have already died?
I mean, there's still a
You remember
corpse,
those tangents, people?
Like, there's still a corpse. You don't have to, grind it through a meat grinder. Just let me bury it.
I have no words for you.
That's fine, because I got some words. Thank you for listening. As always, you can find us at our pluggables, which will be coming up in the outro after this. And I'm Matt.
I forgot my name. I think I'm Brandon. I'm Brandon. Yeah, that one.
Are you sure? I thought it was Rand Knob.
Nadnarb.
Yeah, whatever. We'll see you guys at the game Sunday.
Oi.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the Keeper's Corner podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to us so you never miss an episode. If that podcast app also has reviews, be sure to leave us 5 stars to let us know how we're doing and reach a larger audience. It really helps us out. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Keeper Corners Pod. And you can always find us there talking UCFC soccer. Thanks again for the support. It's truly appreciated. One last thing. Go Utica.